There's one notion we haven't tackled this morning. It's artificial intelligence and cognitive solutions. Well, what we're about to experience right now is actually a travel into cognitive solutions. We will talk about machine learnings, AI, and the way we can interact with computers now, presently, and in the near future. To do so, please join me in welcoming Michel Unger, General Manager of Cognitive Solutions Europe for IBM. Hi, Michel.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing?
Good evening, everybody. Doing well.
So, you have about 25 minutes to lead us into this travel to AI and cognitive solutions. The clicker is here. I'll be backstage.
All right, super. So, good evening, everyone. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to be here to talk about what is my favorite subject. And I promise, all of my predictions will be a lot shorter term because I'm going to talk about cognitive computing, AI, and it is here, it is now, it is real. So my intent is just to explain, at least from our perspective, our point of view on what cognitive means, and then I want to spend the most time giving you several different examples of how it's being used today. We firmly believe in the very near future, every major decision will be used or will be made using the help of cognitive computing. We are predicting, and it's a short-term prediction, by the end of 2017, over 1 billion people will be impacted in one way or another by the Watson technology, which is our AI platform. But before I get into all of that, I think it's really important for us to understand why. You heard about quantum computing and the fact that it can take on so much data, right? But cognitive is a slightly different view on data. You might have heard, right? A lot of people are out there saying data is the new oil, the new natural resource. And it's not only, with natural resources, it's not only who has the data, right? It's not only who has the natural resource. Where the value comes in is for those people who can refine it, who can make use of it, who can distribute it, who can democratize it. So the one thing is, most natural resources tend to be scarce. In the case of data, it might be a natural resource like oil, but it is not scarce. You heard, why do we even need quantum computing? Because there's so much data out there, we need a machine to take care of it. However, right, and everybody knows, making more database decisions does help your business. Since 2014, there's been 125% growth in data-driven projects. People understand it. And why? Because chief executives, they want to make decisions faster, they want to make better decisions. But despite all the money that's been fed into these more very, very advanced analytic technologies and projects, the estimates are we're only touching about 12% of the data out there. And why is that? Because traditional computing systems can't read, can't see. We call it invisible data. It doesn't understand the world around us. And if you want to get into the comment on trust, what this whole session is about, how can I trust the data? How do you know when a report comes in or you get something from your analytics solution that tells you something, you kind of go, it's got to be garbage data. It can't possibly be true. Why? Because you're an expert in your business. You understand your business. You've spent years understanding your business and what you do. It's the human cognition that helps you see and spot things that traditional computing can't spot. And frankly, people are drowning in data. And what the picture I want you to keep in your mind when we talk about cognitive computing and what it can do for you, I'd like to say cognitive computing is the new oxygen. So rather than being underwater and drowning in all of your data, and still no matter how much you're investing, you're only able to get to 12% of it, what cognitive computing can do is it can see, it can understand, it can listen, it can read, because that data is in books, texts, blogs, videos, images, the science of color, the science of music, the science of food. That data is there, and we as humans have been, in our history, being able to consume that and understand that. And we've had our expertise built on years of using that data. It's out there now. It's now digitized. And what cognitive can do, because it's now so much that we're overwhelmed by it, it will give you the oxygen you need. But it won't only give you the oxygen you need to survive, but it'll give you the oxygen you need to thrive. And if you take a look at this particular image and you think about it, it's not just thriving, it's being able to see this world in a very, very different way. I'll be able to spot patterns I couldn't spot before. I can see new business models I could not spot before. And when it comes to being able to trust my data, a cognitive system is going to give me the oxygen I need to take a step back and argue, debate with me, help me make sure this is real and it is trustworthy. So with those two pictures in mind, what I want to do is talk about from our perspective, right? The other way, can you trust AI? Our perspective, we have fundamentally built this technology around three things. And the first is, our definition of AI is not artificial intelligence, it's augmented intelligence. Everything we are doing, because we believe the most important, the biggest problems will be solved not man versus machine, but man with machine. Continuing to have the machine feed the human with important understanding of the world around them, and therefore they can make the final decisions. So that's the first point. The second point that I think, when it comes to trust, is fundamentally important in the way we from IBM are putting together our Watson platform, our cognitive platform, and that is, your data is your data. Your IP is your IP. We're not feeding some big knowledge graph in the sky. We believe firmly that to get the most, this is business value, true business value, and it has to be done in a matter of trust. Your data is your data, your IP is your IP, and we both win together when we have it that way. Because we believe Watson is the cognitive platform for business. And the third thing that is also fundamentally important here is that we cannot do it alone. You heard the predictions. This stuff is moving so fast. It's moving at an unbelievable rate and pace. We need people to be looking at the opportunities to use this technology in a lot of different ways, and therefore building an ecosystem and making this so consumable for developers to put products out that use cognitive technologies. So those three things are the basis. What is different then about cognitive than the era before, which is programmable computing? The first thing is cognitive computing understands. As I said, it understands images, it understands language, it understands emotion. It understands, is somebody upset when they say the same words but in a different tone than somebody else? And when trained by experts, it can understand all of these things in your domain, whether it's health, the public sector, finance. It can be trained to understand, take in all of these unstructured new forms of data that are now available in unbelievable amounts. It can take that, understand it, and feed it to the person to make the decision. The second thing is it reasons. As I said, it will make hypotheses. It will debate with you. It will argue with you. No, I don't think that's right. Well, here's why it's right. Here are the facts I found in the corpus of information that I understood. It will debate. It will argue. It will make you, as the human, a better decision maker because of that. And it is machine learning. It never stops learning. And even the reasoning part, the arguments it will make, it will get better and better at doing that. And the last thing, It is a new way to interact with machines. The ability to not have to talk to them in their language, whether that language is SQL or that language is keywords. Because if I get the keywords right, a search is going to give me something that I want. If I get it wrong, I'm wasting time. I want to be able to have the computer, no matter how I say it, understand the intent of what I'm looking for, the intent of what I'm trying to do. That's what differentiates it. And the other thing, the way, at least from our perspective, the way we at IBM with the Watson platform are putting this together, I need you to think about it as Lego blocks. Because we believe it is so fundamentally important. This technology is so incredibly powerful that the right way to do this is to put a little bit of thinking into every process you have, into every application you have. And it could be that that little bit of thinking, you only need one of these Lego blocks. And if you have a bigger problem to solve, you might need 3 or 4 of them put together in a certain way and trained by a certain level of expertise, experts. So this is fundamentally a new way of approaching this. And what this does, it allows for unbelievable speed. We have projects now that are getting up and running in a matter of weeks and days, as opposed to months and years. So with all that said, now let's talk about the reality. What are people all around the world doing with this in different types of industries? Because we do believe this is going to fundamentally transform industries. I want to start. You guys have probably all heard of Staples, a big office supply company mainly for businesses. So anyone who's actually had to order office supplies knows that this can be very complex because everybody kind of wants something different. So the first thing they've done is they've fundamentally changed that interaction. Whether you're interacting with them over Facebook or over some other kind of an app that they have, or if you saw that little red button, you can actually have the easy button. Push it, it will recognize who you are. You say, I want to order some more pens. They will say, I know you. I understand that you order only these kind of pens, always in blue, and I can already say just how many. No forms are filled out, interacting in natural language and taking the difficulty out of the ordering process for office supplies. The next example I want to give you is Bradesco. Bradesco is the single largest retail bank in Brazil. And Brazil as a country is a very young and very vibrant country. So they know the only way they're going to remain to be the biggest bank is that they provide their customers with leading edge technology. So they get every single day 30,000 calls to their call center. It's coming down to about 60 calls per second coming in, asking all different kinds of questions. So what they've done is they've implemented Watson to understand. But what they did is they said, okay, I just want you to understand my top selling products. They started small and they kept adding. So this is now answering 60% of those calls that they would normally get. It's answering it automatically. It's helping the call center agents be able to answer in great detail with great accuracy. And it's doing all of this in Brazilian Portuguese. So they were the first ones to bring Watson to the Brazilian marketplace and the first ones to train Watson in Brazilian Portuguese. Now, we went from banking, office supplies, some more of the retail. Let's talk about big equipment. Woodside is an oil and gas company out on the west coast of Australia. And when they do a project, it costs big money. So little decisions for them cost tens of millions of dollars. To build a new oil rig, it costs them 3x what it used to cost them, not that long ago in 2003. It's tripled in the price. And not only that, when they actually have to build a new one, the project manager on a project that is multiple billions of dollars, it's usually the last thing they do. Because they need people with that level of so many different kinds of experiences. How can they institutionalize that experience so it doesn't get lost? Because they said, I know we are solving the same problems we solved before, but we couldn't get all that information, all that knowledge, all that learning into one place where we can interact with it very easily. So what did they do? They worked with Watson.
I know you, friend. I know every meter, every gap, every specification. I know every metric unit of pressure imposed on your 119,000 tonne frame and how it will react to the extreme conditions here on the remote northwest shelf. I know what a team of engineers in Norway reported on you and what a retired project manager documented on you a decade ago. I know fuel mixtures and flow rates, hard data and soft data. I know all this because we're designing a cognitive system with IBM Watson that consumes and learns everything written or reported about you from millions of files, decision logs, and technical evaluations spread across our company. We teach Watson to think like an engineer. Watson teaches us to think like 1,000 engineers from 1,000 different sources. I know temperatures and pressure gradients, anomalies and patterns. When you succeed, I will know why. I will know how. With Watson, we're asking more questions because we have more answers. We're making smarter decisions because we learn more every time we make one. And I know we're just getting started.
So, 2 lines in that video I think are really important. We're training Watson to think like an engineer, and Watson's training us to think like 10,000 engineers. The power of this symbiotic relationship, man and machine. And the second comment, we're asking more questions because we're getting more answers. Imagine that same power in your business. Now, we talked about different industries, very different uses of this kind of cognitive technology. Now, we actually expected most of this. The one place where we didn't expect Watson to be augmenting the human was in the area of creativity. We thought that was actually an area that was just human, but we were wrong. We now have Watson technology in the area of cooking. It understands the science of food, what tastes good together, and helping chefs become more creative, not to mention not waste food. The second thing is we're now working with a major music producer. We taught Watson to understand rhythm, beat, different genres of music, whether it's jazz or rock and roll, and being able to put these things together to create new and unique music. The first one was just announced 2 weeks ago, and it hit the top 10 charts within a half a day. It was cognitive music at its best. And what we've most recently done, we've actually worked in the area of fashion and material science. And we did this with Marchesa, because they firmly believe my brand stands for something. And I want the brand to be represented in the clothes that we make. So they went and they said, I want to understand what images give what kind of a psychological response. So Watson analyzed all these different images, so different styles and different colors. And they found that the color, they got reactions from people. The psychological impact of red means I'm confident. Of yellow, I'm innovative. Gray, I'm futuristic, and I swear gray was futuristic. Okay, maybe they were a little more silver. But the point is they learned this, and they created a cognitive color palette to help them design their dresses. And then they used Watson in the design phase. And they used Watson, along with one of our ecosystem partners, to find what materials would be the best. So analyzing all of these different responses to the materials and the colors, they've created new designs. And the particular dress that you're going to see in this next video was actually worn by a model at the Met Gala. And what they actually did inside the dress, they put different LED lights. And Watson was monitoring what people were saying, what was the mood of the gala. And the dress was changing colors based on the mood of the people at the gala and who was on social media and talking about it. Totally different way of interacting. Let's just take a quick look.
We really felt that Watson just enabled us to do our job better.
We fed hundreds of images from our case addresses into Watson, and Watson came back and really gave us guidelines of which direction we should go in, which color stories we should take, and it had been segregated into several different emotions.
Seeing one of our dressers that was able to respond and communicate with everyone out there was really something we never thought we'd ever see.
Okay, so different ways to interact with cognitive computing, wearable cognitive, literally wearable cognitive. So when something is very human-like in changing fundamentally the way we work with machines, you can work in the traditional mode of 2 dimensions, whether it's your mobile device or your PC. However, 3 dimensions is really the way of the future. And to help me do the next demonstration on how we are using cognitive in a much more 3-dimensional interface, I'd like you to join me in welcoming my friend, Pepper, to the stage. Okay, so hello, Pepper, and welcome to Montpellier.
Hello, Michel. Have you seen what a great audience we have with us today? I'm analyzing the data of the event as we speak, and it's really interesting.
So I know, Pepper, you're always analyzing, you're looking for patterns, you're doing this, but why don't you tell the audience what you found?
We have 745 attendees here today. 1/3 are from IT. 25% are CEOs, owners, or company presidents. 25% are from marketing and sales, and 10% of the group are consultants.
Okay, that's great. So it sounds like we've got business and IT and consultants all in the room together. That's great. Now, what do you analyze about the speakers?
Looking at the speaker's profile, you can find interesting things as well. By the way, joyeux anniversaire Francois for your birthday in the next days. I cannot say exactly when it is for data privacy, and I won't tell them your age. Ha ha.
We all want to say thank you for data privacy, don't we? But Francois, also from my side, bon anniversaire. So, but you know what? Listen, Pepper, I got to stop you from analyzing the audience because I have a really, really important request for help from you.
Sure, Michel. What can I do for you today?
So, when this event is over, I have the opportunity tonight to spend some time in the city and also tomorrow morning. And so I'm hoping that you can give me some ideas on what I should do.
Sure, Michel. For your visit to Montpellier, I have been trained to provide travel suggestions. So I am the right person, robot for you. What would you like to do tonight and tomorrow?
All right, well, let's start with tonight. And I'd like to, I'm in France. There's no place in the world you can get better food. So I'd like you to give me a restaurant recommendation for tonight. And then tomorrow morning, help me understand where I can go for, the sites to see and keep some time in there for shopping, okay?
Good. Let's start with tonight.
Okay.
I'm verifying what people are saying about restaurants in Montpellier over the internet. Okay. On the social sites there are mentions of a nice restaurant, La Réserve Rambeau, by the Les Riverside.
Well, it sounds good already. All right, so that's good for tonight. Now, what about my city tour tomorrow?
Okay, you certainly know that Montpellier is a middle-aged city.
Yes.
One of the most visited ancient places in Montpellier is the Royal Square of Pierron, where you will find an old aqueduct. Then you can walk down Boulevard Henry IV to reach one of the oldest and renowned faculty of medicine in Europe, and visit its anatomy museum, or climb the stairs to the top of its cathedral to have a magnificent view of the whole city.
Well, that sounds great. I might not go up to the top of the cathedral. I'm a little queasy when it comes to heights. But Pepper, what about shopping?
I see from your expression that you are now really excited. Do you have anything specific you want to buy?
Well, I have to say, I mean, personally, I am a shoe freak. But we are in France, and if you look at me, I'm not exactly the height of the average French woman. So I'd like a shoe shop, but it's got to be one that makes custom shoes for someone like me.
You can visit Labat Gardien at Lunamere, Montpellier. They can make leather shoes especially for you, but also unique handbags and bracelets. And you know what? They have been quoted in the New York Times.
I actually thought I had you on that one, Pepper. You are amazing. When you've been trained on something, you actually can answer. Why don't you tell the audience how you do it?
My cognitive engine analyzes the conversations over the network, understands which are positive and negative comments, verifies which products or shops are closer to your requests.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you again. You know, I really do appreciate everything you did for me and helping me out to plan my next night and next day as well.
By Michel. Sorry, last thing. The Weather Channel is forecasting sunny weather for tomorrow, so it will be a perfect day to visit the city.
Sightseeing in Montpellier and beautiful weather. I can't get any better than that. So please join me in thanking Pepper for all of his hard work. Okay, again, just an example of new ways to use cognitive, new interfaces. And you can see this is being used as a sales assistant in Japan, as taking care of the elderly and having someone who they can talk to and can help them with what kind of medicines should I be taking and when. It's not prescribing anything, it's just reminding people. So different types of use cases for this kind of technology. So let me just wrap this up. So hopefully I gave you a taste of what is cognitive, how it's a little bit more than AI, and AI could be augmented intelligence. And just to kind of wrap that up, here's a statement from Thomas Watson Jr. He was the CEO in the 50s and 60s of IBM. And if you look at what he says, he's basically saying the same thing. Computing will never rob man of his initiative or replace the need for creative thinking. By freeing man from the more menial and repetitive forms of thinking, computers will actually increase the opportunities for the full use of human reason. Cognitive computing, this new era, is no different, but it holds the promise of being able to solve what has previously been unsolvable. It holds the promise of a world that is healthier, is safer, is more trustworthy, more secure. And I don't know about you, but that's a world I'd like to live in, and I hope you do too. Thank you very much.
Thanks a million, Michel, and thank you, Pepper. Of course, I think this robot deserves some applause too.